Thanks for keeping it locked to CJ 8800 and the Elias Makos Show as we wrap up another week. Already Friday, man. I tell you, this week just zoomed by for me. Wonder if it did for you. Now let's start off this hour with a serious topic. Let's talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. Now, known as the Godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton quit Google this week. And he quit with a warning to all about the dangers of artificial intelligence. The neural network pioneer said he quit in order to speak freely about the dangers of AI. And he explained that he has many regrets when it comes to his own contributions in the field. Just think of that. Big name in AI, works for Google. He quits. He leaves with a warning. He says he regrets part of his life's work. He's now 75. He was brought on by Google a decade ago to develop the company's AI technology. His work led the way to develop systems such as ChatGPT. And following his departure, Hinton has spoken about the dangers of chatbots and how they could be exploited by bad actors. These comments have sent shockwaves of worry throughout the industry. Let's go now to Valerie Pisano, who is president and CEO of Mila. That's Quebec's Artificial Intelligence Institute. It's recognized around the world for its major contributions for AI. It is a big player in artificial intelligence, and we wanted to get their take on this. Valerie, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
When you heard what Geoffrey Hinton had to say this week, what was your reaction?
Yeah, in a sense, it echoed what we were already saying for a couple of weeks now. And I'm referencing, of course, the letter that was co-signed by over 1,000 people. There are now 23,000 people who've added their names to this, including Yoshua Benja, who's the founder and scientific director of Mila. And this letter basically said similar things to what Jeff Hinton voiced this week, that the speed at which this new form of very powerful AI is being developed, but most importantly deployed, is very worrisome. And it's worrisome because it's being done at a point in time where we actually don't have rules and regulations and laws, and we have really no way of assessing what's being sent out onto our phones and computers. And so we welcomed Jeff into the conversation in a certain way because it echoes a lot of the concerns that we also share.
So we've been hearing these concerns from the community. Of course, you referenced the letter that was signed by so many people here, and I just want to know, because I've heard things like this could lead to the end of humanity, right? It could be game over for humans, and I hear those statements, and boy, is it chilling. But then I scratch my head and I say, well, how? Take me through the scenario. So can you tell us, why we should be concerned in terms of end of humanity?
Yeah. So there are many things that are being said, right? So just to reframe it a bit, the number one most immediate risk is that these tools be used for misinformation or disinformation, right? So fake pictures, fake songs, fake videos, fake text, and how that can influence so many dimensions of how we get organized as humans, right? Think about politics, for example, in the next campaign in the U.S. The second big topic that we're hearing about is massive disruption in the job market. So a lot of the things we do on a daily basis when we go to work are already being changed by the arrival of ChatGPT. And we need to be taking a serious look at that. What happens when a significant portion of what I do at work or a significant number of jobs aren't what they are today, tomorrow. And then the third level of risk is what you described, which essentially is the following. Even the people who are building these models don't quite understand how they work. And the way these models function is that we don't give them a specific formula. You give them a goal. And in trying to satisfy this goal, the system might develop these new behaviors. And that's what Jeff Hinton points to when he talks about the end of humanity. It's basically these systems just doing what they've been programmed to do, but at one point doing it and causing us harm because really they don't know anything else than what they've been trained on. They don't know there's a planet with billions of humans walking around, right? And that's the kind of doomsday scenario that some of the researchers are expressing concerns
So,
about.
and please correct me if I'm wrong, but when you say that, I'm thinking, okay, so you tell artificial intelligence, okay, here's your goal, artificial intelligence. We want you to solve climate change. And then the AI figures out, oh, I can solve climate change, kill all humans. Like, is that what we're worried about? Like, in order to get to its goal, it'll do really bad things, not realizing on the way to its goal that it's doing these bad things?
Yeah, that's an example. That would be like a pretty straightforward example. Another would be, we're using these super systems to solve for a very specific problem. And in solving for that problem, for example, it sucks all the oxygen out of the atmosphere and then we die, right? So it's not so much that it's this unintended consequence of. The other is just massive manipulation, right?
Yeah.
And what that would lead to in a world that could be very different from the world we're in today. The one image that I think is helpful here is when we think about language in all of its shapes and form, written, spoken, sung, stories, images. Language really is the operating system of us as humans on this planet. And so what happens when this machine starts talking and interacting with us? For some stuff, it's absolutely fantastic and it's fun and it's efficient. And for other things, well, we should stop and think about that. Like, what's the role it should or shouldn't play, for example, in our democratic institutions?
We're with Valerie Pisano, President and CEO of Mila, that's Quebec's Artificial Intelligence Institute, one of the worldwide leaders in the AI space on this planet. Valerie, you talked about jobs before, right? And perhaps the risk to jobs. Now, this week, there's a pretty high-profile strike going on. The writers, right, in Hollywood, in New York City, the writers of our hit television and movies, right? They're on strike. One of the issues is that there are some studios in Hollywood that they want to start using AI to produce scripts, okay? And having said that, I've seen some attempts. Like, there have been some websites that have said, okay, let's take a popular TV show like 30 Rock, which isn't on the air right now, but they tried it this week. Let's get AI to write a script of a popular show. And then you look at what the AI does, and it clearly can't get humor. It's not very funny. It's not very good, right? So, I see sometimes I've used ChatGPT, and it's good as a basis, but it's not good overall. I need to interact with it, and I need to make it better myself. So, are you worried that the capabilities will just get so much better, or do you think that there could be a ceiling into how good these things get?
I would say both. So the capabilities will get significantly better. Absolutely, no doubt. And it's going to do so very, very quickly because as the system trains, it gets better. Just think about an athlete. See, it's very similar. The more you do the exercise, the more you go to your practices, the better you get at the sport. It's the same thing with AI. So that is going to happen. This being said, artificial intelligence will not, at least not in immediate, be able to do things that are really core to what it means to be human. For example, humor, empathy, just appreciating the more general context of things. So in the happy, good version of this, there's an interaction and a complementary piece of work between the human being and the machine. I do think we are in a world where a lot of content will be generated by these super systems. What we need to get smart about and decide on is how do we want to interact with that? Do we let it, for example, write the whole script, or does it, prepare a scenario and then we put our own creativity into it? But this is one of the core questions. See how quickly this has emerged that is already on the table, which is what part of the creative process are we comfortable leaving to machines, and what part of the creative process do we want to keep in human hands?
One last question for you, Valerie, and it has to do, with, the voices that have said we need to press pause. We need to, pause for 6 months or a year. We need to get a hold on this. It's not lost on me that the voices are also, I guess, behind ChatGPT, right? And I wonder, let's say if Mila had developed the leading technology right now, if you'd be advocating for a pause so that everyone else can catch up. How much of this has to do with competition in the AI space?
What the letter really expresses is we need to shift the dynamic. We need to slow down the speed at which we are putting these products into the hands of kids, students, workers. Right now what's happening is there's a competition between 3 or 4 companies that have the capabilities of doing this, and they all want to win market share, and that's, super okay most days. But right now, with this new technology that we don't know enough about, it's not prudent. What the letter did that was really encouraging for us all is it accelerated the conversation in government. You might have seen yesterday, Vice President Harris and President Biden sat down with the 4 CEOs of the 4 biggest tech companies in the U.S. There are conversations that are happening now that weren't happening a couple of months ago that need to happen. We need legislation. We need our governments to decide how we're going to frame this technology. And it's right now in a very, very dynamic process of, getting out there and putting the version onto our computers.
We have to leave it there. Really great conversation. Thanks so much for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you.
That is Valerie Pisano, President and CEO of Mila, the Quebec Artificial Intelligence Institute.